The diner hums with clinking plates and soft chatter until one voice, soft, trembling but warm, breaks through the noise. It's the kind of sound that carries a story all its own. She stands by the counter, humming gently as a little boy sits alone at the corner booth, tracing circles in spilled soda. Some laugh at her, whispering cruel words under their breath, but she keeps singing. The melody isn't perfect. It's raw, untrained, real. But it has something the others don't: compassion. The boy's eyes lift, and for the first time tonight, he smiles. Around them, the laughter fades, replaced by silence so heavy it could break. And then at table 4, a man leans forward, eyes narrowing, heart catching on a single note that feels like truth. They mocked her voice, but what if this voice was about to change everything? After the silence, the diner breathes again. Forks clatter. A cough. The kind of uneasy shifting that happens when people realize they've just witnessed something real. She blushes, unsure, returning to her tray as if nothing happened. But at table 4, the man doesn't move. His coffee has gone cold. He watches her, not like a critic, but like someone who's just heard a truth he's been searching for. The others whisper again, pretending to be amused, yet their eyes avoid hers. The boy waves shyly, his small hand trembling with gratitude. She smiles back, softly, returning to work. Outside, thunder rumbles, and the night grows heavier, as if the storm knows something's about to change. In the quiet after the storm, she wipes the counter slower than usual, replaying her song in her mind. It wasn't bravery, just instinct. A child alone, a tune from memory. But now, she feels the weight of being seen. Not mocked, not dismissed, seen. The man from table 4 stands, drops a few bills, and approaches the counter. The laughter dies completely. For a heartbeat, it feels like everyone's holding their breath. His voice breaks the silence, low and calm. That was beautiful. She looks up, startled. For once, words fail her. He introduces himself quietly, no grand gestures, no business cards, just honesty. Says he once believed music belonged only to studios, not diners. She laughs nervously, thinking he's joking, but his eyes hold the kind of seriousness that makes her chest tighten. He tells her he heard something rare, a voice that makes people listen, not just hear. She shakes her head, muttering, "She's just a waitress." He smiles. "Maybe, but I think you're also something more." The line lingers in the air, heavier than any rain outside. After he leaves, she stands alone, heart racing, unsure if any of it was real. The child has gone home. The laughter has turned to whispers of curiosity. She hums again, softly, almost to herself this time. The same melody, but quieter, as though she's testing its power in the empty air. And in that hush, her voice feels like a promise, one she never planned to make, but now can't forget. Morning light spills through the diner windows, soft and forgiving after the storm. She's back at work, apron tied, hair pinned up, pretending nothing happened. Yet something lingers in the air. An echo of her song, a whisper of change. Customers come and go. Unaware that last night a man at table 4 left behind more than a tip. Beneath the register, folded neatly, lies his business card. She hasn't touched it. She's afraid to believe it's real. Between pouring coffee and stacking dishes, her eyes drift toward it, wondering if hope is a luxury she can afford. But deep down, beneath all the fear, a small, steady spark begins to grow. She finally unfolds the card at lunch, her hands trembling. The name is real, embossed, and beneath it, an Atlanta studio address. Her chest tightens. She laughs softly, shaking her head. People like her don't get calls from people like him. But the boy's face flashes in her mind, his small smile, the way her song calmed him. Maybe her voice does matter. She slips the card into her pocket just as the bell above the door jingles. And when she looks up, there he is, table 4. Back again, same calm eyes, same quiet purpose. Her heart skips. Maybe this isn't over. He sits again at table 4. Same seat, same coffee. She approaches slowly, trying to act like any other waitress. He thanks her for the song, not as flattery, but gratitude. He tells her music like that doesn't come from training. It comes from truth. She laughs awkwardly, saying truth doesn't pay rent. But he leans in, voice low, telling her he wants to record her. The words hang in the air like thunder before rain. She stares at him, unable to speak. For a moment, she feels the whole diner fade, like the world has gone silent again, waiting for her answer. That night, she walks home under the dim streetlights, his words echoing louder than her footsteps. Record. Her voice. On tape. The thought feels impossible. But impossibility has a strange way of feeling like destiny in disguise. She pauses on the sidewalk, staring at her reflection in a darkened shop window. For a long time, she's seen herself only as what others let her be. A server, a helper, a shadow. But now she sees something else. A flicker, a chance. Maybe she's been singing for others so long she forgot what her own song sounds like. The next day, she stands outside the small Atlanta studio, heart pounding harder than ever before. She almost turns back twice, but something inside pushes her forward. The city noise fades as she steps through the door. Inside, the air hums with the quiet power of possibility. Wires, microphones, lights. She inhales, unsure if she belongs here, but knowing she's come too far to walk away. Somewhere behind her, the laughter of last night's diners still echoes, but she doesn't flinch. For the first time, she believes her voice might finally be heard. The studio feels different from anything she's ever known. Quiet, polished, almost holy. Every wire, every glowing button feels like a heartbeat she doesn't understand yet. She stands behind the microphone, fingers trembling, unsure where to place them. The man who once sat quietly at table 4 now sits behind glass, nodding gently, telling her to take her time. She closes her eyes. For a moment, she remembers the diner, the rain, the boy's smile. And then she sings, not to impress, but to remember. The first note is fragile, trembling. The second carries warmth. By the third, she's not a waitress anymore. She's a voice that refuses to stay small. Hours pass like moments. Each take feels easier, freer, truer. She laughs between songs, forgetting to be nervous. Carl says little, only nods with quiet pride. When she finishes, he steps into the booth and tells her the truth. He's been searching years for a voice that sounds like real life. Her heart beats so hard she can barely breathe. She thanks him, but her voice cracks, and for once, she lets it. In that small, silent room, surrounded by wires and dreams, she realizes something she's never dared to think before. She's finally enough. Later that evening, she walks out of the studio clutching a small flash drive, the recording of her first song. The city hums with life, but her world has gone still. She looks at the skyline, her reflection in the glass door behind her, and feels the strange weight of possibility pressing against her chest. For the first time, she isn't just surviving. She's beginning. She thinks about the diner, about the child who listened without judgment, and about the laughter that turned to silence. Her song came from that moment, from pain, kindness, and courage that refused to stay quiet. And now, it belongs to the world. Back at the diner, the familiar clatter greets her like an old song. Same coffee smells, same booths, same faces pretending not to stare. The news of her recording has spread faster than she expected. Some whisper, some congratulate, others just look uncomfortable. She doesn't hold it against them. She moves between tables with quiet confidence, no longer hiding her light. And when the jukebox starts to play her song, her hands freeze, her voice echoing through her workplace. The laughter is gone this time, only silence, wonder, and maybe a little pride remain. That night, when the diner empties, she stands by the same booth where it all began. The rain has returned, tapping gently on the window. She looks outside, seeing her reflection in the glass, different now. Not because of fame, but because she finally sees herself. The world once mocked her for singing to a lonely child. Now that song belongs to everyone who ever felt small. She hums quietly, smiling to herself, and in that gentle sound lies everything she's become: strong, kind, unbreakable. Weeks pass, and the song spreads faster than she can understand. First, it plays in small-town cafes, then on radio stations, then across social media, shared by strangers who find themselves crying to a voice they've never met. She still works her shifts, still pours coffee and wipes counters, but now people come just to see her. Some ask for photos, some for autographs, others just to say thank you. Every time she hears her own voice come through a speaker, she looks down and smiles, humbled. It isn't fame she feels, it's connection. And for the first time in her life, she knows her voice mattered. She meets with Carl again, this time in a larger studio, walls lined with gold records and silent expectations. She feels small walking through the doors, but he greets her like family, not a client. He tells her labels are calling, asking to sign her. She shakes her head, laughing nervously, saying she's not ready for all that. But he reminds her she's already done the hardest part, being brave enough to sing when no one listened. His words settle in her heart like peace. She's not chasing fame. She's sharing truth. The song continues to rise, landing on charts she's never heard of, reaching people she'll never meet. A woman writes from New York saying it gave her strength to leave an abusive home. A soldier messages from overseas saying it reminded him of his mother's voice. Every message feels like a prayer answered. And every time she reads one, she whispers thank you to the child who inspired it all. She hasn't seen him since that night, but she carries his face in her heart. The first listener, the first believer. One evening, she's invited to perform live for the first time. The crowd waits, murmuring, lights dimming. She steps onto the stage wearing a simple dress. No glitter, no pretense, just herself. When the music begins, her heart races, but as she looks out at the sea of faces, she finds courage in the memory of that quiet diner night. She sings the same song that started it all, her voice trembling at first, then soaring free. The room goes silent, and when the final note fades, the applause sounds like thunder rolling across the sky. After the show, when the lights fade and the crowd empties, she steps outside to the quiet night air. Her phone buzzes. An email from a charity foundation offering to use her song for a campaign supporting children in need. She stares at the screen, overwhelmed. The music that began as a lullaby for a lonely child has now become a voice for many. She looks up at the stars, remembering the boy's shy smile, and whispers a soft promise to never forget where it began. Because sometimes, the smallest kindness creates the loudest echo. Months later, success feels less like noise and more like peace. She's learned to move through the world quietly, without needing to prove herself. The diner still stands at the corner of that small southern town, but now people drive from far away just to visit. Her song plays on the jukebox daily, the same melody that once silenced cruelty. Yet, despite the attention, her heart keeps returning to one memory. The small boy who sat alone, the first listener who believed in her kindness before the world did. She wonders where he is now, if he ever heard the song she sang just for him. One quiet evening, as the sun melts into orange haze, the diner door opens and she freezes. There he is, the boy, taller now, but those same eyes, same freckles, clutching the same teddy bear though it's older, worn. Loved to the bone. The boy walks toward her shyly and says he heard her song on the radio, that it made him feel safe again. Her throat tightens. She kneels, smiling, telling him the song was always his. The diner hums around them, but for that moment, only they exist. Two souls bound by a melody that healed them both. They sit together for a while, sharing milkshakes like old friends. He tells her he's learning guitar now, that her song made him want to play. She listens, amazed at how time has folded back on itself. How kindness given once can grow roots in another heart. Carl joins them, smiling quietly, his eyes saying everything words can't. As the jukebox hums softly, they all laugh together. A strange, perfect harmony of chants, hope, and healing. In that booth, time stands still again, just like it did the night she sang. Later that week, Carl calls her with news. The song has earned enough to fund a small program he's been planning for years. Music scholarships for underprivileged children. He names it the Melody Project, inspired by her story. She listens in stunned silence, tears sliding down her cheeks. All she wanted was to comfort a lonely child, and now that single act has become a movement. She looks out the window at the night sky, whispering a quiet thank you, not for fame, not for money, but for the chance to give others a reason to sing too. Months later, she returns to the diner one final time. This time not to serve, but to sing again. The crowd gathers, standing room only, locals and strangers filling every corner. When she begins, the room falls still. No laughter, no whispers, just reverence. Her song fills the air with memories of that rainy night, of a lonely child, of courage found in compassion. As her voice fades, she opens her eyes and sees everyone smiling, tears glinting under the light. She bows her head gently. The story that began with mockery ends with music, and a woman who found her voice by simply caring enough to sing. The world has moved fast since her first song, but Ava stays rooted in simplicity. She still walks to the same diner for coffee, still smiles at the regulars who once laughed. The town has changed too. New faces, new energy, softer eyes. There's a framed newspaper clipping on the wall now. Local Waitress song changes lives. Every time she passes it, she blushes. She never wanted to be famous. She just wanted to now. And now, standing in the quiet morning light, she realizes she did. In small ways that will outlive her voice, she touched hearts that might never forget her song. Yeah. That afternoon, she visits Carl's studio to see what became of the scholarship project. The walls now display photos of smiling children, young, diverse, hopeful, each one clutching an instrument they once couldn't afford. Carl greets her with the same warmth as always, pride written all over his face. He tells her the first group of students performed her song at their recital last week. The thought overwhelms her. She never imagined her pain could become someone else's beginning, and in that moment she understands her voice wasn't just hers. It belonged to everyone who needed to believe again. Later, she's invited to a small school auditorium where the scholarship kids are performing. She sits in the back row, unnoticed at first, watching as tiny hands strum guitars and timid voices echo her lyrics. A little girl, dark-skinned, bright-eyed, sings her melody perfectly off-key, and Ava can't stop smiling. It's the most beautiful sound she's ever heard. She feels tears fall, but not from sadness. They're tears of recognition, proof that her gift has already multiplied. She doesn't stand when the crowd applauds. She just watches, heart full, knowing her purpose has come full circle. After the show, one of the little girls runs up to her, clutching a notebook. "You're the lady from the song," she says breathlessly. Ava laughs, kneeling down to meet her eyes. The girl says she wants to sing too, that she thought she wasn't good enough until she heard Ava's voice. Ava takes her small hands and tells her softly, "If you sing with your heart, you already are good enough." The child hugs her tightly, and Ava feels the same warmth she once gave that lonely boy. It's as if kindness has found its way home again. Indeed, it sure found its way home again. That night, Ava walks home through the same rain she once sang under. The streets glisten, puddles rippling with each step. She hums the song softly, not for fame or applause, but as a prayer. A reminder that small acts of courage can ripple through generations. Her voice blends with the rain until the world itself seems to sing with her. And though no one else hears it, she knows. What started as a melody for one lonely child has become a hymn for every soul that ever needed hope. Years pass gently and the world moves on, but her song never fades. It becomes part of the town's story, played at graduations, weddings, even quiet funerals where people need comfort more than words. Ava still lives nearby, in a modest house with plants on the porch and sunlight spilling through the windows. Why? Her days are slower now. She teaches music at the community center, guiding young voices that remind her of who she once was. Sometimes she hears her song on the radio, and every time she closes her eyes and smiles. It's no longer about her. It's about every soul who ever needed to be seen. One afternoon, Carl visits her classroom. His hair is more silver now. His movements slower, but his eyes still carry that quiet strength. They sit together after the children leave, reminiscing about that night in the diner. He tells her how the scholarship program has grown beyond anything they imagined. She thanks him for believing in her, but he laughs and says he only did what anyone with ears and heart should have done. They share a silence heavy with gratitude, two lives forever intertwined by a single song that changed both of them. That evening, she returns to the diner, now renovated but still carrying the same warmth. The old red booths have been replaced, but the neon hum remains. There's even a small plaque by the window. Ava Johnson first sang here. She runs her fingers over the metal letters, feeling disbelief and gratitude all at once. The waitress behind the counter recognizes her and thanks her for inspiring her own dreams. Ava laughs, realizing she's become part of the very stories she once dreamed of. The world has turned full circle, and she's still singing quietly inside. A few days later, a letter arrives. It's from Ethan, no longer the small boy with a teddy bear, but a young man now preparing to leave for college. He writes that he's studying music and that her song gave him the courage to chase it. She reads the words slowly, tears slipping down her face. The world is vast, she thinks, but somehow, it always finds its way back to kindness. She places the letter beside the old business card Carl once left, both reminders of how a single note can change everything. In the final quiet of evening, she walks into the empty diner once more. The lights are dim, the air still. She sits in the same booth where it all began, closes her eyes, and hums the same tune that changed her life. The sound fills the room softly, wrapping around the walls like a memory returning home. For a moment, she can almost see that little boy again. The laughter, the rain, the miracle that followed. And when the last note fades, she smiles. Peaceful, eternal. Her story isn't about fame or applause. It's about the power of one song, one heart, and one act of kindness that never stopped echoing.